To help his students deal with a geometry exam, a 9th grade teacher told them to assume that they'd already taken the exam, and that when they came into the classroom to actually take the exam, that they were just going to be checking their work. So we're going to apply that right now to this first speech. This is the check, because I've gone over it in my head about 1,000 times. But as I said at dinner last night to our small group of speakers, you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. So you understand. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. First topic, a life skills formula that changes students' futures. A recent past president of the United States wishes he had done a better job of this. Executives and CEOs stake their careers on it. Some college deans wish that every student they had could take a class in it. Educators get grants and PhDs because of it. And students get into the schools and get the jobs that they want because of it. Well, what is it? It is all about successfully promoting your ideas. It's not a particularly new concept, but the way that it's delivered can be. In 2011, the University of Washington sent 4 students to a case competition at Indiana University. They came in 2nd place. The coaches immediately polled the judges and the students and the executives that role-played with those students to find out what happened. And as a result of that, they codified a way of being successful in the future. And you won't believe what happened next. In 2012, they won the competition. In 2014, they won the competition. In 2016, they won the competition. They were the most winning team since competing in 2011. So how did they do that? It's a bit of a process. To become a competitor, you have to go through a very rigorous set of interviews, and the students are asked, are you willing to give 3 months of your life in exchange for a series of life and business skills that you'll be able to use forever? The answer is almost always yes, but there's a little bit of a trade-off. For that 3 months, the coaches also work at surgically removing words such as like, awesome, you guys, you know, oh my God, groovy. Okay, well, groovy is one of my words. But also WTF. And they can't ever seem to get rid of that last one. So what does this formula look like? Well, it's really quite simple, right? Success is there's no numbers in here yet. Success is a function of 4 main components times something else. You can tell why I didn't go into the sciences, right? All right, well, let's break it down and see how that formula works. So first, ASQ, ask strategic questions. Ask smart, deep, probing, penetrating questions. Originally, this was ask smart questions. But a student asked one time, well, aren't all questions smart? We're told that there are no dumb questions. Well, actually, in case competitions, there can be dumb questions. Suppose you're sitting across the table and you've just asked the executives that are role-playing with you what the business plan is for this particular company. And they rattle through the business plan, give you a good summary of it, and you're queuing up your thinking and not being an active listener, and you're not really hearing anything they say. And then you ask a question, another question, well, could you tell me a little bit more about could you tell me about your business plan? It's the same question again. That might be a definition of a dumb question. So a smart question or a strategic question is one that goes deeper, that takes what they hear as an answer and then probes deeper onto that question so that they can more fully understand what's going on. The students are taught that their success in life is directly related to the quality of the questions they ask and what they do with the answers. This was the one thing that they missed in the 2011 competition. They didn't go deep enough in a series of questions in the initial part of the competition. That kept them from unlocking points and also additional information that helped them actually solve the business problem. So just that one little error put them into second place. Differentiating with creativity. So once the business solution is arrived at and the strategy set and kind of all the mechanics are in place, the coaches ask, all right, what's your big creative idea going to be as far as executing? And the reason this is important is because that creative solution is what's going to ultimately set them apart from all the other competitors. So in the 2011 case, the students were representing an organic popcorn company, and they were selling to a health food market, a small chain of health food stores. There was a business problem, though, associated with that, and it was that there was a small amount of shelf space in the front of the store, and popcorn can be a volume item, and so it would move off the shelves pretty quickly. And there was no back storage in most of the stores, so they couldn't really store any inventory. So the students on the business side came up with a solution that they would create a rapid response text system that allowed the store managers to text the popcorn company and get an almost immediate delivery of new popcorn. The question was, how were they going to make that creative? So the students tried, and it also had to fit into the sort of the eco-friendly nature of the organic markets. So the students came up with a concept of a popcorn Prius. They took a Prius and they wrapped it in a vinyl popcorn wrap. Now, because their budget was $0, they did it digitally. So this was the popcorn Prius. It's all the judges could talk about after the competition. It's all the competitors could talk about. They were fascinated that this was the kind of solution that college students could come up with. So today, when newer teams are trained, instead of saying, what's your big creative idea going to be? The question is always, what's your popcorn Prius going to be this year? What's your popcorn Prius going to be? Make them heroes. So Jack Rhodes, who is the director of the professional selling program at the University of Washington, he's also a professor of international business and marketing, he trains his students that it's not about them. It's always about the person on the other side of the table and how you can help them and what you can do for them. They discourage the use of the I word on behalf of the students. They don't say I. That sounds self-serving. And really, that's not what you want. You want to help the other people. And this is backed up by a guy named Adam Grant. Adam wrote the book, Give and Take. He's the youngest tenured professor at the Wharton School of Business. And he concluded that it's better to be a giver than a taker, and that's making it about the other people and not about yourself. So with all due respect to David Bowie, what the goal of the students is when this meeting's over, they want the people on the other side of the table to be looking at the business solution and the strategy, and they want them to think about what was presented and walk out of the room thinking, we can be heroes. Promoting excellence versus perfection. How many of you in the room know a perfectionist or are one? Come on. Yeah, I thought so. Okay. Well, here's the 4 a.m. strange tweet of the day. There's no such thing as perfection. And I put it in air quotes so that I can deny it later if you guys come back after me. Okay? So, take this simple test. Think of something that you did about 5 years ago that you put a lot of effort and time into. And really, picking typefaces and color backgrounds and all kinds of work that you put in so that it could be absolutely perfect. And then go back and look at it with a really critical eye and say, was that really perfect? And chances are that it really wasn't all that perfect. Here's where the math comes in. And it's simple. Why invest an extra 40% of effort to get to 100% perfect when most of the people in your audience are going to view 90 to 95% as excellent? Because it's often not worth that time. So when the students go to these competitions, they usually have a slide deck of about 60 slides. And based on the information they get by asking the strategic questions, they may throw out 50 of those slides and rebuild another 10 of them. And so that's what happens in this whole process. So if you've spent all this time getting to perfection when all you needed to do was get to excellence, you've wasted a bunch of time. There's also this concept to keep them focused on excellence instead of perfection called the rule of three, and that is that you don't see more than 3 bullet points discussed at any given time. You'll notice that's been the format of this presentation. But it keeps it at a high level where we're not getting into the depths of perfection and trying to go 40 layers deep to tease out every last little detail on things. And that in itself is very impactful and very helpful. So there's the formula. We've got it almost all together. We're only missing the power that makes it all work. That's GE. It's genuine enthusiasm. And as our friend Ralph Waldo Emerson says, nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So to date, there have been 24 students that have been trained using the concepts of this formula. All of them were hired with jobs after graduating. They've all gone on to have tremendous careers, both professionally and personally. And here's 3 of them. Meredith, who after 2 years at Soft Choice, was awarded the highest distinction you can get in the company, a Golden Gloves Award. Alex, who was the overall MVP in the year that he competed, out of 84 students, he was selected as the one with the most enthusiasm for the amount of energy he put into his final presentation. Today, he's at Amazon Web Services and recently earned his first-level architect designation. So he's well on his way to a tremendous career there. And Eric, who was on the original 2011 team, went to work for one of the sponsors, Altria. He worked a territory assignment back east for a couple of years and recently accepted a new position as a big data analyst working on some of the largest accounts that Altria has. So this formula works for millennials. They embrace it. They like the structure of it. They like the practicality of it. They have found it to be simple to use, and it's realistic to them. So they understand. One of the students that has gone through competition training at the University of Washington said this was the most significant thing she did her entire time at the University of Washington. And she has now got her dream job at Salesforce.com. So let's go back to the beginning. It's all about successfully promoting your ideas. This is not a new concept. It's been around for decades. But it's been repackaged and presented to the millennials in a way that they understand it. And the globals who are coming up right behind them are not showing any significant difference in their attitudes and approaches to things at this point in time. We're right at that transition point where we're starting to see globals come in and the millennials are getting older. So this model works. It's free. You can use as much of it as you want, although the idea is to use all the components of the formula because that's what really gives it the energy. So try applying this, whether it's for yourself or your students, but try all 4 modules. You have to use all of it because that's the only way that it works. If there are things that work for you, then incorporate them. Try incorporating them into what you do. If there are things that don't work, feel free to modify them to whatever way does work for you. You don't have to spend 3 months at the University of Washington having all your favorite words taken away from you. Try it. Let it sink in a little bit. It will take some time to get it into your system. And then let me know how it goes. Thank you all very much.